morning everybody, unless of course you're watching this video in the evening, in that case good evening, and you are watching Time Travel TV, and today we are going to be talking exactly why the Italian army was so ineffective during the Second World War, which is why I'm wearing my desert helmet, which I'm now going to be taking off because it's ever so slightly too small and very uncomfortable. So, first things first. Due to the success of Hitler's Blitzkrieg across Europe, Mussolini, the leader of Italy, was firmly under the belief that the Axis powers were going to win World War II, and therefore he needed to do his territorial expansion. He wanted to create the new Roman Empire, and he thought if he didn't do something quickly, people would start to not take him very seriously at all.
Heil Hitler! Heil Mussolini! Mussolini never go well.
Therefore, fearing that he'd become a sideshow to his friend Adolf Hitler, he decided to invade British-controlled Egypt and Sudan from his territories in Libya and Abyssinia, which is modern-day Ethiopia. He also decided to invade other Mediterranean countries, such as Greece is a good famous example. Now, many of his generals warned against this, saying it was going to be a bad idea. And it was.
What a mistake to make.
Despite the British being outnumbered almost 10-1, they were able to push the Italian army back 500 miles into Libya. So, why exactly has the Italian army during World War II been the butt of a joke for the past 80 years? Well, there's no one simple answer, so we're going to have to go through several factors. The first is their equipment. It was substandard, despite the fact they had re-armoured during the 1930s, like Germany. These were old things they were using. I say old, they were new, but they were as good as the old things. They weren't better, they weren't new technology. Their tanks were slow, lightly armoured, with small guns, and were riveted together instead of welded, which made them easier to blow apart when they were shot at. Their rifles were so terrible, the Carcano rifle was so terrible, that most soldiers opted to go for the First World War rifle instead. The aeroplanes, Italian Air Force had some good airplanes, but only a very small number of them. Many of them used First World War era biplanes instead. Another reason was resources. Italy didn't have many resources, still doesn't, and this really hindered their armed forces, especially their navy. They had a big navy and were able to patrol the whole of the Mediterranean, or should I rather say they would have been able to patrol the whole of the Mediterranean if they had enough fuel to get all the way round. The coal and oil, they just couldn't get enough of it. And finally, and in my opinion the most important, was the mentality of the troops. Now, due to the culture of Italy, many of the troops weren't very well educated, coming from what was known as the peasant class, and also they didn't really want to fight. They didn't really believe in fascism, and they didn't want a big empire like Mussolini. I think the only person who wanted a big empire was Mussolini. In fact, all the Italian soldiers wanted to do is live their lives.
We Italians, we don't want no trouble. We make it the faster, we make it the love, and we sing. One night of love!
So, now we've answered the question, why were the Italian army so ineffective during World War II, we really ought to ask the question, do they deserve the reputation they have for just surrendering and being so ineffective during World War II? And the answer is, yes. The Italian army was really bad during World War II, and there's no way of hiding it. So, there we go. Let's ask another question, though. Do the French deserve the reputation for being so cowardly and ineffective during World War II? The answer is probably not. If anybody's to blame for the fall of France during 1940, it's the French generals and their incompetence. So, On that note, if you want a video about the fall of France and why the French were ineffective during that, make sure you leave a comment asking for one. So, if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to Time Travel TV. Thank you for watching and cheerio!